All right, next up, as we continue along, Utah and Baylor. This line has seen some movement. Utah opened a 6-point road favorite up to 7.5, 47.5 the total in this game. And this is another one where odds bettors early in the week, they are reacting to Utah beating the Florida Gators. Now, to me, Florida's not that good this season, but it's still a win against an SEC team without your starting quarterback, Cam Rising. You look very, very effective on both sides of the ball. Bryson Barnes, as I said on the show last week, it's not bothering me one bit that he's at quarterback. He's experienced. He's played a bunch. He's got a lot of pass attempts, and he was good enough. Was he great? No, but he was good enough. And that big bomb touchdown, first play of the game, set the tone for that entire game against Florida. The defense, I can't say it enough. Kyle Whittingham, man, just another wizardry coaching display. I mean, to have no Cam Rising, you had a bunch of injuries on defense. You had multiple D-line starters out. And here they are still whipping Florida in the line of scrimmage, getting after Graham Mertz in that game, stopping the run at a pretty effective clip. What a coaching job by Kyle Whittingham. All these factors, all these key pieces missing for you, playing at least a named Florida team, and you are able to overcome it and still get the win and cover. That's why we love Kyle Whittingham and why he's perennially, in my opinion, one of the best coaches in college football. But now you're laying above a touchdown on the road. We'll see if Cam Rising is able to be back here for this game. Utah, I know, was hopeful of that being the case. And he was on the sideline. He was moving around. He had the headset on in that game against Florida. So to me, it looked like a guy that had probably a good chance to return from injury for this game, but he is still day-to-day, and he is still questionable at the moment for that Baylor game this Saturday. And then we got to talk about Baylor. I've got no issues with Utah. They'll be fine. They are fine. Baylor is far from fine. Last year was a declining season under Dave Aranda. 2 years ago, they were great. Last week against Texas State, I actually thought Blake Shapen, who had some issues last year with consistency, he didn't play that bad against Texas State. It's not on him. It's on the defense. What has happened to a team defensively where Dave Aranda, that's his background. He got the coaching job because of a great defensive job he did as coordinator at LSU. That's how he got the Baylor job. And this defense can't stop anything right now. And it was a lot like last year. They had these issues where when they faced any sort of capable offense, they got shredded. But this is, to me, not necessarily capable offense. This is Texas State. Now, I know Texas State plays fast. I know they have TJ Finley, who is a guy that's played at LSU and Auburn, big-time SEC schools. And I think that is something we want to monitor. Before we go crazy downgrading the Baylor defense, let's evaluate how Texas State was able to somehow find a guy like TJ Finley and bring him in here to be their quarterback. Not a lot of schools in Texas State's position can do that. And they did. And he was very, very good. And ripped apart this Baylor defense. I was shocked. Could not believe it. Now, I had the over in the game. I thought Texas State would score a little bit, but I did not see that they would go up and down the field pretty much the entire football game against Baylor with ease, with absolute ease. And that now is a major, major worry for me with Baylor and that defense. To give up 42 points, to lose as a near 4 touchdown favorite in that game is just a brutal way to start the season. Like I said, TJ Finley had 298 passing yards through the air. They had success running the ball as well. But it was really the secondary where they just got absolutely shredded, this Baylor team. So if Rising comes back, that's trouble. And even if Bryson Barnes has to play again, man, that was a Swiss cheese sieve defense last week and showing more issues of the kind of team they were defensively last year at times for this Baylor team. So, I mean, I don't think I'm going to be involved in this because I also feel like, wow, this line's definitely higher than it would have been pre-Florida win for Utah and pre-Baylor loss against Texas State. You know, you're definitely seeing this number shoot up a lot. Because before, if you put this game before what we saw last week, you know, you're definitely looking at Utah, Baylor being maybe in a pick'em range or maybe Utah a slight road favorite, but nothing like -7.5 like they are right now. So a tricky game right now. I'd be fearful of just saying, you know what, value now is on Baylor. embarrassed for losing at home to Texas State, but that was so bad that even value alone is probably not going to get me to the betting window with the Baylor Bears here in this spot. Connor, what do you think? Utah Baylor.
Yeah, I don't know if 7 is enough value, even here at home in Waco with this Baylor Bear team. The defense you mentioned, going back to last year, was just getting ripped, and even in some of their wins, they kind of got into shootouts. And this team was an over squad. This kind of a low total. Obviously, Utah's a very good defense. Even as good as they are, a little bit different on the road than at home. And we saw it last year with
That is
Utah.
true. There is a little home
Yes,
road thing going on with Utah, home road dichotomy. Yep.
definitely. So can Baylor put up some points? I think the total's just a little bit too low here in this one. If that Baylor defense is just half, I mean, Utah should get 30. I'm thinking because I watched, basically half of that game, and you mentioned Finley, they couldn't do anything. And on the flip side, Baylor had just a bunch of penalties. They looked all out of sorts. I think they had 9 penalties. Were a little bit sloppy. Shapen had a ton of yards. He did throw a pick. That was costly. So over the touchdown, I think still Utah tricky here. This is why week 2, little overreaction. We have these big changes in the numbers. I think they can go in there and win from everything I've seen. Probably cover the number, but I'm looking at the over here.
All right, Connor, looking at maybe some points here. I mean, what's alarming for the Baylor offensive line is allowing 3 sacks, last week to Texas State. That was a problem as well. Pass pro was a big issue for them. The O-line struggled. Even though they put up points, the O-line was giving up some negative plays. It's not going to get any easier now against Utah. My goodness, you talk about a team that is always just so damn staunch in the trenches, O-line and D-line.
That line's great. Yeah, both lines, but their D-line's very good.
I mean, you better shore that up and tighten that shit up pronto if you're Dave Aranda and Baylor, if you're going to have a hope to compete in this game, let alone win.